Good morning. It's not morning, is it? It's afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you diddling? Excellent. Me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to Saturday. Welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, albeit slightly later than usual. We took Max out to tire him out completely. And it took some doing, shall we say. But anyway, he's fast asleep now. So he's on us getting to relax. And I am here talking to you, giving you hopefully some advice, some knowledge, what you could be doing with your social media, your brand right now during these difficult times to try and get it in front of more people, try and grow that brand so that people are talking about you. And then when we come out of lockdown, hopefully they'll be in a situation where they want to be part of your tribe, maybe even be a customer as well. Fingers crossed. But in the process, I just want to give you as much free advice as I possibly can do. So that's what we are here for. We're going to be talking today about content on a weekend, which is my every weekend piece that I give as content out on all my channels. So if you've heard it all before, you're going to hear it all again. We're also going to be answering your questions as well. So any social media or video questions you may have on whatever channel you're watching, stick them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them today or in tomorrow's broadcast if you're doing it in the replay. Okay, first things first, who am I? I am Simon Scholes. I am the founder and creative director of Perception Studios. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency, and we help brands and businesses create content that really helps them stand out on their social media platforms. And it could be video, animation, aerial work, graphic, photography, all things that are connected to a visual aspect. Now, we specialize in social concepts, but we take people all the way through the creative process on lots of different types of content. Could be documentaries, could be health and safety videos, could be just a show reel video for your actual website, all the way through to the stuff that we specialize in, which is social media content. But a few years ago, it became quite obvious to me that actually smaller brands, smaller businesses don't always necessarily have the budget available to them to have that content created on a regular basis. So we were working for bigger companies who had budgets, but all these smaller companies who should be making content on a regular basis weren't doing so because they didn't have the budget to spend. So they weren't making any content at all. And social media is such an important place to be now in the way that we live, in the way that we digest content through these things right here. So it was so important that I get people into that process of making content, even if it's them having to do it themselves for free. So I created a process called How to 9 Times Your Social Media. It turned it into a #1 book. I'm giving that book away for free now as well, so you can get a hold of that if you want to. The link is in the description. And basically, it takes you through the whole process of making one piece of content and getting that piece of content work harder for you as a brand, as a business, on your social media channels every single week. So you create one piece of content every week, 52 pieces of content over a year, and that one piece of content can be turned into multiple pieces of content if you're willing to put the hard work in. And if you're not willing to put the hard work in, you can pay somebody else to do it for you, but it may not necessarily have your slant on it. But that's what the whole process is about. That's what these videos are about, is to get you into that content creation process. I just want to see you start creating content. That's all I want. So let's have a quick look, see who's joined us today. We've got a few people joining us on the live channels on the computer right now. We're live on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and also Instagram Live as well. So wherever you are, say hello. A quick hello as well to Miles, who's just joined us. He's training for a marathon at the moment. So we will see. I think he's training for London Marathon. So we'll see if that's ever going to happen at all this year. I don't think it will happen this year. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I think a lot of events will get cancelled for quite some time yet, just for safety issues. I don't think London Marathon will happen next year, and I think the Olympics, even though they may happen next year, will probably be behind closed doors. But I'm not going to get all political, and I ain't a scientist, so or a virologist. It's just my own personal point of view. But I just see potential numbers climbing again very soon. But anyway, shall we crack on? It is the weekend. It is, as always, my usual subject matter on a weekend. And what is that, I hear you cry? Well, my usual subject matter on a weekend is social media does not work a 5-day week. If there's anything I want people to take from the content I am putting out, is that social media does not work a 5-day week. It is on 7 days a week. It is on 24 hours a day. It's on 365 days a year. It does not switch off. If you think it switches off, more fool you. Your audience might not be on it all the time, but your audience will still be on it 7 days a week. So if you are putting content out and then stop on a Friday evening and then don't start again till Monday and don't look at your social media at all and then come back in on Monday and there's a bunch of messages wanting to buy something but they can't, that's your fault because you're not using social media on a weekend. It's your fault because you're not choosing to use social media for what it was created for, to be social. Whether you like it or not, messages you get from customers, potential customers, complaints, whatever it might be, they're being social on social media and you have to be social back. I spoke about this last week because customer care is such an important thing in this day and age. We live in an age where customer care is slim to none in quite a lot of businesses. So if you can stand out head and shoulders above everybody else by actually caring, by actually being there on a weekend when somebody tweets you or messages you and says, I've got a problem with the order that you sent me, or I just want to say thank you so much, it's absolutely brilliant, my dad loved the gift that I got him from you, then if you respond and just go, I'm so glad he liked it, they're going to appreciate that little response. It's going to keep building that emotional connection. It's another touch point between you and them. They're going to appreciate that. They're also going to appreciate it if they're complaining about something and you actually go back to them rather than leaving them for 48 hours to stew on that problem. So many people will stew on a problem and then get even angrier and angrier and angrier, come to the Monday, you go back to them and they're like, well, where the chuff have you been? Because they've been stewing on this problem for 48 hours. They might needed it fixing there and then. And it might have been something really simple that you could fix straight away. Just like Morphic says on Twitch, saying yes to customer support. Absolutely. So many people, so many brands, so many businesses do not do customer support right. And social media is such a great way of doing it. And you can do it in a humorous way. But you've got to remember that there are people consuming social media 7 days a week. And in fact, on a weekend, those numbers climb in a normal situation because more people are actually able to use their phones, use their tablets, use their computers on the weekend because they're not at work. So the boss isn't on their shoulder. The boss isn't saying you can't do that. They can do whatever they want. So on a weekend, they're on their phone, they're scrolling through. So there's more people you could be talking to on a weekend, but you're choosing not to because you work a 5-day week. Now, I'm not saying you need to sit on your phone and create content after content after content after content, but you still need to be putting stuff out on a weekend. You still need to be responding to messages. Absolutely. There's no excuse for that. So just sit back right now and think, what content could I be creating on a weekend? Maybe it's something a little bit different. Maybe it's a bit more fun content rather than your usual day-to-day activity of giving value. Maybe you could create polls. Maybe you could write a quiz that is connected to the content you put out during the week. Maybe you could just start trying having conversations with people. One of the things I do on a regular basis is reach out to people on Twitter who are asking questions of other creators or just asking questions generally. What do I do with X? How do I deal with Y? And just reach out to them with the value I can give. I'm not an expert at everything, so I can't answer every question. You're not an expert at everything either, but you do know what it is that you do. You do know how to search for those things. Every social media platform has that search functionality. So maybe use your weekends for that. Actually reaching out and helping people with some advice, helping them understand that you're there to help, and it's the weekend. So they're going to really appreciate that. If that question's gone out on a weekend and somebody's gone back to them on a weekend, they're probably going to go, right, okay, I want to know more about this person and come and have a look at more of your stuff. Now, back in the day, it used to be like, I think it was 7 touch points. So if you could touch a person 7 times, if you can speak to them 7 times, then you've got a better chance of them making a purchase from you. That number has risen dramatically in the age of social media. So actually in social media now, in the terms of that, it's actually up to about 15 to 18 touch points. So if you can create those reasons for touch points, actually reaching out and helping people, especially on a weekend, absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Having custom notification tone will help. Have a longer and absurd one. I think I know what you mean when they're actually ringing up and talking to people. A lot of people have on hold and stuff like that, which is just the most dire thing in the world. And it's something that we used to work on in the past, which was trying to get people to have a better understanding of the audience who are on their phone at the time they're on the phone on hold and that kind of stuff. But yeah, this isn't specifically just about customer service, but I think it's a great way of creating a good idea of what you can do in customer service by actually creating content on a weekend. Hello to Jamie, who's just joined us now. Jamie Sharp. He is a creator, and hopefully he will agree with everything I'm saying. Fingers crossed, and won't come back and debate it with me. Like I say, I'm not saying people should be creating masses of content on a weekend, but you should be making audiences aware that you are there on a weekend. And 100%, if you get a notification through on your phone that somebody has messaged you, you have to go back to them on the weekend. You've got to. We live in an age where people want instant gratification on everything. People put a piece of content out on YouTube, they expect to have 1 million views straight away. It doesn't happen. They get pissed off. So think of how that would happen if somebody was actually spending money with you. Somebody's bought one of my mugs. This isn't a mug I sell, but somebody's bought one of my Dazed and Confused mugs. It's arrived. It's broken in half. They expect me to deal with that issue immediately, not by Monday. Okay. So hopefully you're going to take from this broadcast today that social media does not work a 5-day week. It is on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Make sure you're using it that often. Okay, brilliant. Right. We will step away from that. If you've got any questions whatsoever while you're watching, it's probably going to be a shorter broadcast today anyway, because it's beautiful weather outside, so we want to make the most of that. But if you've got any questions, chuck them into the comments right now, whatever platform you're watching on. It doesn't have to be about 5-day week social media. It can just be a question about social media for your brand, video for your brand, whatever. And I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I can before I disappear. We've also got a question that just popped through as well on Twitter, which I thought was quite an easy one to answer and an interesting one, because it's, again, back into this mindset of expecting something in return, even though this person says they don't. So how do I deal with people not sharing my work when I share theirs all the time? I mean, I'm not looking for anything in return. Yes, you are. When I repost theirs, but yet they are still just ignoring my content. Then they're not ignoring your content. The problem is number one, you are expecting a share. Whether you say or not, you are expecting a share in return. It's like doing follow for follow and like for like. It's a load of bullshit. You should be sharing content that you get value with and that you feel your audience will get value with. Now, that doesn't mean sharing literally everything that you see, but it does mean sharing stuff like if you are part of a specific hashtag hour and there's a lot of arts and crafts in there, why wouldn't you share those with your audience? There's a potential that those people will like what they're seeing, but you're not expecting them to share in return, because I'm B2B. So I'm business to business. I can do business to customer content, but it's normally for a business who wants to do that B2C content. So what I look at is I'm more than happy to share other people's stuff because I've got an audience and there's a potential that they might like what it is I'm sharing, but their audience may not like what it is that I've got to say. So I don't expect them to share my content, and you cannot expect people to share your content just because you've shared theirs. Because a simple fact of the matter is the content you're putting out may have absolutely no value whatsoever to their audience in any way, shape, or form. So you could be a car salesman, and they could be a author. Well, what you're selling may have nothing to do with what their audience is interested in. So as much as they have valued what it is that you've put out and appreciated it, they're looking at the fact that also, you know what, I like it, but it's probably not going to appeal to anybody I know. Now, I know they're making assumptions, and doing that means that you're making an ass out of you and me, but it's their assumption to make. You've got to step away from the idea that people are automatically going to share your content just because you've shared theirs. It doesn't work that way. If it did work that way, everybody would be a huge influencer. I would have put a piece of content out on YouTube, shared another friend's piece of content on YouTube, and I've got some pretty big creator friends, and they would have shared mine, and I would be an influencer right now and not sat here talking to you about social media and video in the aspect of running a digital agency. I would be sat here doing it in the aspect that I'm an influencer, want to help you grow as an influencer instead. But I'm not, because I them to share my content. Didn't expect them to tell all their followers to go and watch my content or view my channel, because I know what I create is not going to appeal to all of their audiences. So you've got to get that out of your head. Stop worrying about sharing and hoping they're going to share your content back. Just worry about sharing in the hope that your audience are going to get some value from it. They're going to enjoy it. And then you can move on and share the next piece, and then the next piece, and then the next piece. And if they do share your content, brilliant. How awesome is that? They've shared your content, but you've got it out of your mindset that actually they should be sharing it. Why are they not sharing my content? That's really disgusting. I'm not going to share theirs anymore. Bollocks. Share their content because you know your audience are going to get value from it, and they will share yours when they know that their audience is going to get value from it. So hopefully, Anonymous, you're going to get some value from that answer, and appreciate it and understand it and take it in the best will. I'm not being nasty. You've got to step away from this ethos of expecting something in return, because it's like, okay, if I start selling these mugs, then it's me expecting that you are going to buy one of my mugs. Well, why haven't you bought one of my mugs? Well, that's disgusting. Well, I'm going to stop doing these broadcasts because you're not buying my mugs. That would be cutting my nose off and your nose off at the same time. Because, I can't expect you to want to buy something from me. I can't expect you to have to share my content. So, just stop expecting is all I can say. Anyway, we shall move on. Let's have a quick check, see if anybody else has got any questions that they're thrown in. And if not, we're going to make this a nice short one for a Saturday. And we'll be back tomorrow as usual. No more questions have come in. I'm calling it quits right there. If you do have any questions, though, if you're watching right now on the live as we're coming to a close, or if you're watching on the replay or listening to the podcast, drop me an email. My email address is in the section below, or it is scrolling across the screen right now as well. So just type that in, send me an email, drop me a question, and we'll do our best to answer it either via email or in tomorrow's live video, because we will still be live tomorrow at a slightly different time, slightly later time, of around about 6 o'clock tomorrow. But I will see you then. And until then, thank you so much for watching. As always, it is a beautiful day. So the fact that you're not out and you've chosen to come and watch what it is that I've got to say today amazes me, and I'm so appreciative of it as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new, whatever channel you're watching on, please do hit the subscribe button. That would be really cool. And while you're at it, why not just move your mouse or your thumb ever so slightly to one side and click share as well. Get your audience to get some value from this content as well. So if your audience are going to get value from it, if you're connected to lots of people who are wanting to do something with their social media, or they own a brand or a business and they want to increase their visibility on social media, why not just get them to take a quick look at my content? They might get some value from it. And you never know, we could add them to the audience and get some really cool questions coming through. Anyway, until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and have a good rest of your Saturday, whatever it is that you've got planned for it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.